Testing, testing.
I was rushing, but I'll bring one tomorrow.
Okay, back on the record in case 9655.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. The company would like to call David L. Vosik II to the stand.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm under penalties of perjury that the statements made in this matter today are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yes, sir.
Please state your name, spell your first and last name, and give us your business address.
Sure. David Vosik, D-A-V-I-D, V as in Victory, O, S as in Sam, V as in Victory, I-C-K. My work address is 701 9th Street Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20068.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Mr. Vosik.
Good afternoon. Good wet afternoon.
Do you have before you your pre-filed rebuttal testimony submitted on behalf of Pepco in this manner, consisting of 37 pages?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any corrections or modifications to this testimony at this time?
I do, yes, sir.
Okay, what would those be?
I wish to remove on page 24, line 22, through page 25, line 5. The testimony is is repeated from line 14 to 21 on page 24. So right above line 22, you'll see the start, that same paragraph.
Okay. And with that correction, if I asked you the same questions today, would your answers be the same or similar?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, I would like to have Mr. Vosik's rebuttal testimony marked for identification as Pepco Exhibit FR4. Actually, I think it's 3. Oh, am I looking? 3. My apologies.
And I think we're doing 3FR. So
3FR? That's
yeah,
fine.
because we did 1 FR and 2 FR, so to just be consistent, we'll put the number first. So
That works for me.
okay.
Okay, Mr. Vosik, do you have before you the public version of your pre-filed surrebuttal testimony submitted on behalf of Pepco in this manner, consisting of 10 pages?
I do.
Do you have any corrections or modifications to this testimony at this time?
No, sir.
And if I asked you the same questions today, would your answers be the same or similar?
Yes, they would be.
Okay, in Your Honor, I would like to have the public version of Mr. Vosik's surrebuttal testimony marked for identification as Pepco Exhibit 4FR.
So marked.
And Mr. Vosik, do you have before you the confidential version of your pre-filed surrebuttal testimony submitted on behalf of Pepco in this manner, consisting of 10 pages?
I do, yes.
Do you have any corrections or modifications to this testimony at this time?
No, I do not. Thank you.
And if I asked you the same questions today, would your answers be the same or similar?
They would be, yes.
Okay. And Your Honor, I would ask to have the confidential version of Mr. Vosik's surrebuttal testimony marked for identification as Pepco Exhibit 4FRC.
So marked.
And Your Honor, at this time, I would like to move into the evidentiary record of Pepco Exhibits 3FR, 4FR, and 4FRC.
So admitted.
And Your Honor, I would like to just conduct some very brief live rejoinder of Mr. Vosik. This is in response to the surrebuttal testimony of AOBA witness Oliver on claims that he makes on page 48, beginning at line 3.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Vosik, have you had the opportunity to review the surrebuttal testimony of AOBA witness Bruce Oliver?
I have, yes, sir.
Okay. And beginning on page 48, line 3.
Actually, just give me a second just so
Sure.
Ms. Francis can get to where he's talking about.
Sure.
You all ready?
Line 3.
Beginning at line 3.
Okay.
Mr. Vosik, beginning on page 48, line 3, and going over onto page 49 of his rebuttal, Mr. Oliver contends that the company has not documented its meter inventory that it had at the beginning of 2023, nor has the company demonstrated that the number of meters ordered by the company was reasonable based on that inventory. Would you care to respond to this claim?
I would, yes, sir.
Okay.
So,
Excuse me, was
Yes,
that
sir.
in your direct testimony?
It was, this witness didn't submit
No,
direct
no, no.
testimony.
Was he responding to witness Oliver's direct testimony?
His rebuttal testimony.
His what? Excuse me.
Witness Oliver's rebuttal testimony.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
page 48.
Mr. Chairman, this is the rebuttal testimony? Or is this rebuttal testimony for Mr. Vosik?
Mr. Vosik is responding to the rebuttal testimony of AOBA witness Oliver.
I'm there.
Okay.
You there?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
Do you need me to repeat the question, Mr. Vosik, or do you?
No, I'm good. Are you good, ma'am, if I
No, could you
proceed?
please repeat it? Thank you.
Sure. Beginning on page 48, line 3, and going over onto page 49 of his rebuttal, Mr. Oliver contends that the company has not documented its meter inventory that it had at the beginning of 2023, nor has the company demonstrated that the number of meters ordered by the company was reasonable based on that inventory. Do you have a response to this claim?
I do, yes.
Okay.
So of the approximately 600,000 Pepco Maryland customers, we started 2023 with approximately 21,000 meters, which represents, it falls within the standard that we have of 2.5% to 4% inventory levels. In fact, it represents 3.5% of the inventory level that we carry for Pepco Maryland. And as I stated in my testimony, it's very important to note that post-COVID, we continue to have material supply chain issues where we have to order meters 18 months in advance. So for example, to put it in perspective, if I were to order 10,000 meters today, we would not see those meters to start to arrive until the fourth quarter of 2026.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Vosik. The witness is available for cross-examination.
So, AOBA,
Oh, no questions, Your Honor.
OPC,
No questions, Your Honor.
Prince George's County. Staff,
Staff has no questions, thank you.
Commissioner Richard. Not to put you on the spot, but
Wasn't expecting that. Let me look real quick.
Nor was I.
You know, at this point, I am not ready to give a
Okay.
question. I don't. Yeah, I didn't mark any annotations, so I guess I didn't have any questions. Thank you.
any questions.
Okay.
oh well. Thank you very much.
All right. Very good, thank you. Thank you.
Doug, you can sorry about that. Just jump ahead here. Yeah.
I can't. I don't have to review letter joiners just in the case that we might goes off.
I don't care. I just see it.
So,
Yeah, if you don't mind.
I need to get to DC at 6:30, so I'm thinking that's.
Actually, let me hang on.
Yeah, this is like, Emily is involved in that organization that got tickets for, so not only do I have to go to this production, but if I don't, Emily's gonna be so mad at me.
no, trust me. I mean, I don't have
Which
kids,
is the
but
much more important piece.
Yeah, no. I don't have kids, but I understand the
Oh,
pressure.
Well, if you knew Emily, you'd really understand.
Sorry,
Okay.
just Amber's got so much stuff. Hey, Matt, is this yours? Matt, is this yours?
I know,
Are we ready?
Yeah. Yeah. So call your next.
Can you give me your name, please?
Yeah, my name is Doug Micheel, Micheel. I'm on your list.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Pepco would call Ms. Amber C. Young.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm under penalty of perjury that the statements made this matter today are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, spell your first and last name, and give us your business address.
Amber Karina Young, Amber, last name Young. The business address is 801 9th Street, Northwest Washington, D.C.
Thank you.
Ms. Young, would you state your name for the record?
Amber Karina Young.
And how are you employed, Ms. Young?
I am the Vice President of Technical Services at Pepco Holdings.
And have you caused to be filed your public rebuttal testimony in this proceeding, which I ask be marked as Pepco Exhibit 5FR?
Yes.
And do you have any corrections or additions that you need to make to your rebuttal testimony, Exhibit 5FR?
Yes, I do.
Could you tell us the page and line where those corrections need to be made?
Okay, I have two. The first correction is on page 95, line 5.
Okay, let's let everybody get to page 95, line 5.
Nope, not yet.
Okay. Sorry. And this is in the rebuttal testimony.
Thank you.
One second. What page?
Page 95, line 5.
That's correct.
Maybe I'm looking at the wrong document. I don't have 95 pages.
It's the rebuttal testimony. You might be looking at the rebuttal, Fran.
That's the rebuttal.
Yeah, you're looking at
Okay,
rebuttal.
got it. The rebuttal.
This is in the rebuttal testimony.
Mine is 65 pages.
You want to just use mine?
All right. On page 95, could you tell us what your correction is?
Yeah, there's a dollar figure that's listed there. It's a $5 with 5 following zeros. It's corrected. Yeah, the decimal is missing. So it should read $5,000. There should be a decimal after the third zero.
And then is there another correction you need to make?
Yes, the second correction is to remove of, the word of, OF.
So the sentence now reads, customers who combined produce less than $5,000 of total annual base rate. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you have any other corrections or additions you need to make to your rebuttal testimony?
Yes, one more.
Okay. And could you tell us what page it's on and line and the change?
Yes, it's page 125, line 21.
Okay.
The correction is 15 kV, should read 13 kV.
So strike the 5 and enter a 3 there. So it reads 13 kV.
That is correct.
And have you also caused to be filed what I asked to be marked as Pepco Exhibit 5FR-C, the confidential rebuttal testimony of Amber C. Young?
Yes.
And do you have any corrections or additions other than the ones we made that you need to make to that?
No, I do not.
And if I asked you those questions today, would your answers be the same or similar?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would move the admission of Pepco Exhibit 5FR and 5FRC.
So admit it.
Have you also caused to be filed, which I asked to be marked as Pepco Exhibit 6FR, the surrebuttal testimony of Amber C. Young?
Yes, I do.
And do you have any corrections or additions that you need to make to
Yes.
that surrebuttal testimony?
Yes, I do.
And could you just go through, like we did with the rebuttal testimony, and tell us the page and the line and what the correction is?
Yes, the first one is on page 12, line 1.
And that's in question 30,
And that's in question 30. That is correct.
okay?
So we're going to remove the word this, capitalize P in project, and then between project and include 68163.
So now that line reads, what is the difference between project 68163 and?
That is correct.
Do you have another correction that you need to make?
Yes, I do. It's on page 15, line 22.
Go ahead.
Yep, so in the second half of that sentence, the following ages, colon, after the colon should read 61 years old in 2023.
61 what?
Years old in 2023.
Do you have another correction you need to make at page 32?
Yes. Page 32, line 11.
Okay, go ahead.
So we are going to be striking page 24, Q 46 through 48, and adding page 69, Q 194 through Q 195.
Do you have another correction you need to make on page 32, ma'am?
Yes, I do. Page 32, line 16. Page 26, Q 50 through 51 should be stricken, and it should read page 70, Q 198.
And then do you have two corrections you need to make on page 33?
Yes, the final two corrections. Page 33, line 2. Page 25, Q 49 should read page 70, Q 199. And then page 33, line 9, page 28, Q 55 should read page 71, Q 200.
All right. With those corrections, if I ask you those questions contained in your surrebuttal testimony, would your answers be the same and similar?
Yes.
Your Honor, with that, I would move the admission of Pepco Exhibit 6FR and request to do some limited live rejoinder related to the surrebuttal testimony that was filed by certain witnesses in this proceeding.
So admit it.
All right, Ms. Young, have you had an opportunity to review the surrebuttal testimony of the Office of People's Counsel witnesses Stevens and Alvarez?
Yes.
And at page 29 through 31 of that testimony, for the first time, witnesses Stevens and Alvarez introduce an ICE calculation relating to the replacement of the Wheaton 3 transformer. Are you familiar with that testimony?
Yes, I am.
And do you agree or disagree with the ICE calculation that appears for the first time on pages 29 and 31?
Yes, so I disagree with the calculations that appeared, and what I disagree with are the inputs that were used, and just the limitations of the tool itself.
Okay, so what are the problems that you've identified with respect to the ICE calculations contained in the sir rebuttal testimony of witnesses Alvarez and Stevens?
Yeah, so the first thing I'll mention is around the customer impact. This, the methodology in which they used, they assumed the transformer only serves 1,400 or approximately 1,500 customers. This is a low estimation based on what the transformer actually serves. So it's important that that is used in determining the calculation. We went back and looked at the history of that transformer, and it serves 3,500 customers at a minimum over the last 5 years, and even more recently, it served closer to 3,800 customers. What's important there is that the impact of that is it's going to have a stronger benefit to cost ratio once you put the correct customer count in.
So if I understand, you're testifying that the customer, using the average customer count per transformer is not right, and we should be using the actual customer count of the Wheaton 3 transformer for the calculation?
Yes, if you're going to be using that calculation, that's correct.
Okay, are there other issues that you have with this OPC ICE calculator calculation inputs?
Yes, so the next thing is really around the failure rate. The failure rate in thousands of years, it assumes a 1.5 failure rate per 1,000 year. That was based on them requesting our actual transformer data and the failures that we've experienced over the last 10 years. What that doesn't factor in is the fact that we do timely replacement of equipment. So it never looks at, it assumes that everything fails, when in reality, we've done replacements that have mitigated catastrophic failures.
And so do you know what the failure rate was that they assumed?
They assumed a 1.5 failure rate.
And is it your testimony that that's the appropriate or inappropriate failure rate to consider?
That would be the inappropriate failure rate.
Does the ICE calculator capture all benefits of the replacement of the Wheaton Substation 3?
No, it doesn't capture all the benefits there. So it really only looks at the impacts to customers experiencing outages. It doesn't look at the fact that it's still leaking bushings, it's still issues with the oil pumps. There's going to be maintenance that's required. There's also environmental impacts that would have to be mitigated, in addition to the benefits of the greenhouse gas emissions.
And with respect to the ICE calculator that's used by the Department of Energy, are there any issues with the data that is used by the Department of Energy in its ICE calculator that you're aware of?
Yes, so a couple things that I'll point out. The data actually dates back to 2016. So if you can imagine, that data is old, it's antiquated. Inflation has increased approximately 30% since then. Additionally, it doesn't factor in the customer impact rate and the customer outage experience.
When you correct for the deficiencies that you've just identified, what would the result be of the ICE calculator calculation for the replacement of Wheaton transformer number 3, if you know?
Yes, so while I'm not advocating to move forward with the ICE calculator, it is important that if you're going to use it, you're using the appropriate data. So we ran the analysis, and it shows that it's a $70 million benefit against a $3.568 million cost. So that's a significant cost to benefit ratio when you put the correct numbers in.
And did you say 17 or 70 million? I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
17 million.
17 million. All right. Now, I ask you to take a look at page 15 of the Stevens and Alvarez sir rebuttal testimony. And I'm looking specifically at lines 13 and 18, where Mr. Alvarez and Stevens raise a new claim about use of a different load forecasting study. Are you familiar with that testimony?
Yes, I am.
Does that load forecast that they cite there for the first time on page 15, does that load forecast support the need to build a new substation during that time frame?
Yes, the load forecast does support the need to build the substation. It demonstrates that the substation is at its full capacity and upgrade would be required.
Okay, I want to move on to another topic.
Your Honor, before we move on to another topic in regard to this rejoinder, my question is, I don't believe this is appropriate rejoinder because the $21,000 meter inventory noted in witness Vosik's rebuttal testimony, it's new information that Ms. Young is discussing. It's not appropriate. Young has not provided any ICE calculator calculations for the record, and Young had the opportunity in rebuttal to address the ICE calculator, and they have not addressed it. It's a new analysis. We can't see it, we can't review it, and we can't verify it.
May I respond, Your Honor? First of all, this is not talking about meters. That was Mr. Vosik. He's up and down. Secondly, as I established in my start of my live rejoinder, the very first time that this ICE calculation was introduced into this record was the rebuttal testimony that was filed by Mr. Stevens and Mr. Alvarez. And as the chair ruled, it had to be only new information. And this is new information, and it's appropriate live rejoinder, Your Honor.
Actually, I'm going to allow it. I mean, I think it's close enough to qualify.
Let me move to the issue of tree wire. Now, I'm looking at page 22 and 23 of the testimony of Mr. Stevens and Mr. Alvarez. And at page 22, the witnesses indicate that for the first time that the company has not made the correct and relevant cost comparison for tree wire. Do you agree or disagree with this assertion?
I disagree with it.
And why?
Yeah, so the correct and appropriate cost comparison is it's a 64-cent difference between moving forward per foot difference between moving forward with bare wire versus tree wire. And so the engineers that ran this analysis demonstrated that it was justified by based on the reliability and system performance needs of the work that they were looking at.
Now, focusing still on page 22, for the first time in their rebuttal testimony, witness Stevens and Alvarez allege at lines 3 through 4 that Pepco replaced 67 poles during the tree wire installation that did not need to be replaced. Do you agree or disagree with that new assertion?
Yeah, I disagree with that one as well. So the 67 poles would have been required to be replaced regardless of moving forward with the bare conductor or the tree wire solution. The reason the 67 poles were replaced is because of NESC standards. That's the National Electric Safety Code requirements that we're obligated to meet. So the fact that we're going in and doing work, it was important for us to get up to standards there. Additionally, work that was identified through pole inspections, we were able to address the needs of that work through these projects as well.
Also on page 22, for the first time at lines 8 and 9, witness Alvarez and Stevens cite to Pepco's response to OPC DR 9-1 to make a claim that the tree wire installation was not prompted by outstanding condition-based returns. Do you agree, or concerns, excuse me, do you agree or disagree with that assertion?
Yes, so I disagree with that. And one thing that I'll point out with that same DR, OPC data request 9-1, what they failed to do was reference Part B of that same section, which states the reason for the pole replacements. It was due to reject pole status, which basically means that the inspections identified poor quality in the poles is one of the criteria for replacing a pole on a reliability project. Engineering will also replace poles based on the condition of the pole at the time of scoping, vertical spacing needed to bring the conductor or equipment clearances to current standards, pole guying needs, and traffic risk.
Also on page 23 of the SIR rebuttal testimony, for the first time they suggest solutions such as installing cross arms on poles, using staggered insulators, or placing spacers between the conductors to prevent contact, implying that those options weren't considered by Pepco when it made its decision to implement a tree wire solution. Do you agree or disagree with that claim?
I disagree with that as well. Those options were considered, but we also recognize that those were temporary solutions that would not address the needs that are identified in my rebuttal and SIR rebuttal testimony for those projects.
All right. At pages 24 and 25, again, for the first time, OPC witnesses Stevens and Alvarez allege there's a disconnect between engineering inspection reports and claim that every single service interruption was an opportunity for Pepco to deploy capital-intensive solutions. Do you agree or disagree with that assertion?
I disagree with that as well. So we do not deploy capital solutions for every outage. It's important for us to take a full, robust look at what's happening on the system. And so when we see repeat outages or there are other things that are happening, so engineers will ride out the circuit or do an inspection of the circuit based on what we're seeing from an outage standpoint and use that as part of their determination on how to proceed with upgrades.
Also on page 25, Mr. Witness and Mr. Stevens and Alvarez for the first time insinuate that Pepco installs tree wire as a default solution for every issue. Do you agree or disagree with that?
No, I disagree with that. There are circuits in which we do install tree wire. There's other times where we might install a combination of tree wire and bare conductor. And then there's other times where we do a combination of tree wire, bare conductor, veg management in order to meet the reliability needs, or some combination of both.
I'm going to leave the SIR rebuttal testimony of witnesses Alvarez and Stevens. Did you have an opportunity to review the SIR rebuttal testimony of staff witness Roger F. Austin?
Yes.
And if you could, on page 9 of Mr. Austin's testimony, for the first time, he asked the company at the hearing to provide clarity on the correct cost to remediate feeders 14229 and 14223. Can you provide the clarity requested by Mr. Roger Austin?
Yes. So the correction is it's the $478,000 that was included in the AIF filing. We provided a number that was different. It was $200 and some odd $1,000 that was consistent with the spend in 2023 versus the full cost of the project.
So just to put a fine point on it so the record's clear, the correct cost is the $492,000.
Thank you.
Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Were the costs related to feeders 14229 and 14223 appropriately incurred?
Yeah, they were appropriately incurred for the reasons I mentioned previously. So when we do have an outage history, engineers will do their due diligence to understand the full field conditions of the circuit and make a determination on how to proceed.
Mr. Chairman, I think the number is 14233, not 14223.
It is 14223, and if I said a different number, I apologize. It should be,
I just want to make sure it was correct in the.
no, 100%, 14233. At page 12, lines 1 through 3 of witness Austin's rebuttal testimony, Mr. Austin indicates that Pepco must provide information regarding the remediation of feeder 14206. How do you respond?
Yeah, so that information was provided in DR Response 8-1. And what's important to understand is that project was done under the Priority Feeder Project, which is a requirement in the COMAR standards in order to address those the worst performing feeders, and that feeder fell into that listing of projects.
And is it feeder 14206 or, I'm sorry, with all the numbers, 14223? I thought it was
14206.
Okay, I'm sorry if I misspoke and confused the record again. With that, Your Honor, I am done with my live rejoinder, and we would tender Ms. Young for cross-examination.
Okay, Aoba.
Yes, please. I'm going to hand out a packet of what I plan to use as this is the, yeah.
Thanks,
What I
ma'am.
plan to use for cross-examination.
Don't know why they did that.
Has Fran done an exhibit yet? No.
Is it a DR packet?
Okay.
Oh,
Ow. Good name.
Thank you.
Yeah, she gave us two. Thank you, Fran.
Anyone else need a copy of this?
I think you're right. Looks like one.
Ms. Young, do you have a copy of Bruce Oliver's direct rebuttal and surrebuttal testimony available?
No, I do not.
Your Honor, if I have a minute, I'm going to give.
sure.
Your Honor, I am handing the witness a copy of Bruce's direct rebuttal and confidential surrebuttal testimony. And public. Please give this to me.
Okay.
Now, first I'm going to start with your rebuttal testimony.
Okay.
Actually, can you pull the mic a little closer to you?
And please turn to page 4.
Okay, I'm here.
Now, on page 4 of your rebuttal, Do you see the statement of the purpose of your rebuttal testimony?
Yes,
That begins on line 3.
yes,
You state that the purpose of your rebuttal testimony is to, quote, support the rate year 3, RY3, capital investments outlined in the company's multi-year plan, and to address the RY3 reconciliation filing in case number 9655, end quote. Is that correct?
yes, that is correct.
You then state in the following sentence that this filing is supported by company witness Lemming's direct testimony, end quote. When you use the phrase, this filing, are you referring to your rebuttal testimony?
No, I'm not.
What does the phrase, this filing, reference?
So it's referencing, and it's listed at the end of that sentence, case number 9655.
I am a bit confused by your statement of the purpose of your rebuttal testimony. Are you supporting witness Lemming's direct testimony in this proceeding, which presents the company's RY3 reconciliations, or is witness Lemming's direct testimony supporting your rebuttal testimony?
So my testimony, and I say that in the next sentence, in that I will discuss the company's operational capital expenditures for rate year 3 that are subject to reconciliation.
But what I was referring to is where you said that this filing is supported by company witness Lemming's direct testimony. So are you supporting his direct testimony, or did he support what you were saying?
I'm supporting.
I'm going to object. It's asked and answered. She already asked this question, Your Honor.
Let her go ahead and respond.
I'm supporting the information that was submitted as part of witness Lemming's testimony.
If you are supporting information that was submitted as part of Lemming's direct testimony, why didn't you file your rebuttal testimony as direct testimony at the same time witness Lemming's filed his direct?
Yeah, so my understanding is I operated within what is allowed within the MYP process.
I'm not suggesting you did anything you weren't allowed. That will be for the commission to determine at some future point. All I'm asking is if your testimony is supporting the company's filing and witness Lemming's testimony that you testified to, why didn't you file this at the time that witness Lemming filed his direct testimony?
Yeah, so in that testimony that witness Lemming filed, it listed information on the details of the project, the justification of the project, and the cost of the project, which is what we felt was necessary to submit as part of that filing.
Okay, but was there anything in your testimony that prevented you from filing at the time of the direct testimony was filed of witness Lemming?
No.
Now, your discussion of the purpose of your rebuttal testimony continues on page 5 of your rebuttal, and on lines 2 and 3, you indicate that your rebuttal provides a detailed overview of the capital budget development and planning process. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are you aware that this commission has expressed concerns regarding the confidence it can place in the company's load forecasting, consideration of alternatives, and cost-benefit analysis?
Can you point me to where that is?
Yes. Take a look in the packet that I just handed out. And I believe it's the first page. Your Honor, what's in the packet, which I guess I'd like to mark as AOBA Exhibit 1FR. It's the cover page and page 94, and I have a complete copy in the hearing room of the Commission's order on application for multi-year rate plan, order number 89868, corrected ML 235923. Do you see that?
Yes, I see that.
Your Honor, I'd like to have that marked as ALBA 1 SFR.
So Mark,
Now, Ms. Young, please take a look at, this is paragraph 227 on page 94. And please read the sentence that begins 5 lines down, starting with the commission.
Okay.
So I'll ask the question again. Are you now aware that this commission has expressed concerns regarding the confidence it can place in the company's load forecasting, consideration of alternatives, and cost-benefit analyses?
Yes.
Can you direct the commission to where in your detailed overview of the company's capital budgeting and planning you address these commission's concerns?
I'm going to object to the characterization of that order. That order, if you look, and Ms. Francis has only provided a snippet here, but if you look at the commission's statement in paragraph 228 of the order, and I don't have a complete copy here, but I know it's in order of paragraph 228. Do you have that complete order, Ms. Francis?
Yes, I do. 1 second. Your Honor, I'm going to object to Mr. McKeel's.
let's deal with his
Okay.
before I get to yours. So.
Okay. What page did you say?
It's paragraph, I believe, 228 of that order. And that's limiting, and my objection is that statement is limited to a specific project that was in that case and has other precatory language that does not make this a blanket statement. And I think it's important that this commission get the context, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I object to counsel testifying in place of
Well,
the witness.
here's the situation. 4 of us weren't here when that happened. So I guess for our edification, I'd like to know what paragraph 228 says. So one of you, read it to us.
Well, why don't I ask the witness if she is familiar with and has read before paragraph 228 in Commission's order number 89868.
I have seen this, but I can't say that I know it in detail or how much of it I actually recall at this
So
moment.
again, let's just hear what it says, and then I'll deal with his, and then listen to you. So,
Well, I have to reread it right now.
okay.
Well, all the commission says in paragraph 228 is that the commission's not making any determinations as to the accuracy of their localized load forecasting in regard to the reference substation, and it's not opining on the sufficiency of Pepco's distribution planning process. But they're removing projected budgets for these substations from the MRP revenue requirement. However, the paragraph before that I quoted is a very general commission statement saying that it's not confident in their load forecasting. That is a very general statement. They are not sufficiently confident in their consideration of alternatives, and they're not sufficiently confident in their cost-benefit considerations to allow recovery of the substation construction costs during the MRP. It's a very generalized statement.
And if I could, it's regarding the White Flint substation. And in 9702, this commission allowed recovery, I believe, of certain substation costs that were the topic of this very paragraph.
Your Honor, we read this paragraph as a much more generalized paragraph.
So I think we will figure out when we're making our decision what that will be. So I'm going to sustain the objection. So.
Your Honor, just to be clear, are you sustaining the objection to the question, asking the witness to point me to where in her detailed overview she's addressed the company's capital budgeting and planning?
Yes. Now, if you want to try and rephrase that to get away from the implication that we've opined on this relative to what's in 227, go ahead. So.
I'm asking a very general question. Can you direct me to where you said you did a detailed overview of the company's capital budgeting and planning? Have you addressed in that overview, have you presented quantitative assessments of the cost and benefits that Pepco has pursued as part of its RY3 capital expenditures?
So page 15 starts the detailed overview of our planning process, specific to the projects in the documentation in this hearing. The justifications are found within the projects themselves, not within the planning process.
But are there any quantitative assessments? And when I use the word quantitative, I mean dollars. So have you presented any quantitative assessments of the cost and benefits that Pepco has pursued as part of this RY3 capital expenditures?
Are you referring to cost-benefit analysis?
I'm asking you partly, but I'm addressing costs. Have you provided any costs? That's what I mean by a quantitative assessment that Pepco has pursued in terms of its RY3 capital expenditures and a cost-benefit analysis with dollar values assigned to the costs.
No, so I have not done a cost to benefit analysis for the projects included within here. What I'll say is we do not do cost to benefit analysis on projects that are required for safe and reliable service of our customers and part of the normal business within Pepco.
Okay, now I'm going to look at page 10 of your rebuttal. And on page 10, and I'm looking at lines 7 and 8, you state, I'm quoting, "Witness Oliver stated that he reviewed the filing, but his direct testimony does not address any specific project in detail," end quote. Ms. Young, did you read the entirety of Mr. Oliver's direct testimony?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to ask you to please reference Mr. Oliver's direct testimony, and I'm going to refer you to page 52, line 5.
You said 52 lines?
52, line 5, through page 57 through line 11. So if you could just take a moment to take a look at those pages.
And what's the ending page?
52, line 5 through 57, line 11.
Your Honor, as a preliminary matter, some of this information on page 52 through 57 has to do with new business, and we have a specific witness that's coming up next, Ms. Cantler, that addressed new business. So it's okay to ask Ms. Young about the topics that are in her testimony, but not new business and items that are covered in other witnesses' testimony.
Your Honor, I am not focused specifically right now only on new business. What I am only focused on was her statement at page 10, referring to witness Oliver, that he,
I understand, so go ahead.
okay. So please take a moment and review those pages, Ms. Young.
It's all about new business. You
Okay.
Okay. Is it your position that Mr. Oliver's presentation on pages 52 through 57 of his direct testimony does not constitute a detailed analysis of the company's capital spending for ITN 75097 new business commercial?
Yes, it does capture that. But I did not, as witness Cantler is covering new business.
Okay. But are you amending your statement that Mr. Oliver did not address any specific project in detail?
He did not address any specific project that I covered within my testimony.
Okay,
In
so
detail.
that is an amendment to your testimony. Correct?
I'm not amending that.
Well, you said he didn't address any specific project in detail. And now you said he didn't address the project that I'm responsible for in detail. Those are two different statements. Which one is the correct one?
I'm still not amending my testimony.
But are you
He did address the new business category.
He did?
He did address new business category.
Okay. Am I correct that ITN 63711, Pepco 69 KV, planned corrective maintenance is a project for which you are the responsible witness?
What's the project number?
63711.
And what's the name?
Pepco 69 KV, planned corrective maintenance.
if you want to give her a page cite in her testimony.
I'd
that
like
might-
her to be able to tell me. She doesn't need a page cite. I just asked her if she is the one who's responsible for that project.
Let's try and lessen the crosstalk between the attorneys on this, so just.
Can you point me to where it might be in my testimony, which you're referencing?
I'm going to point you to Witness Lemming's rebuttal testimony, page 7.
I don't have his testimony.
Could counsel please give her a copy of Witness Lemming's testimony?
Did you say rebuttal, counsel?
Yes. Please look at page 7.
Page 7?
7. The print is small, so I'm going to try to help you. It's a little bit more than halfway down the page.
And it's in his rebuttal, okay. I got it.
So as not to hold up the hearing, I'm going to read the line to you, Ms. Young, and tell me if you see the same line. First column, 63711. Second line, 63711. Pepco PEP MD 69 KV Plan Cap 21421 PO 340 SYST replace. And if you look all the way over to the right, you see the name Amber Young.
Yes.
Okay. So that ITN 63711 is a project that you are responsible for, correct?
Yes.
Now, let's please look at page 78 of your rebuttal. Tell me when you have that, please.
I'm here.
Okay. Now, turning to page 78, please focus on the information for ITN 63711 on the in the table on that page. Do you see that?
Yes.
Am I correct that the table on page 78 of your rebuttal shows ITN 63711 with projected 2023 expenditures of $2,786,000 and actual 2023 expenditures of $10,019,000, reflecting an overspend of the company's originally filed budget for this project of $7,233,000 or 260%.
Subject to check the percent, but yes. The dollar figures are accurate.
Now, to put this in perspective, would you accept that Pepco's January 31st, 2022 project list update filing increased the 2023 budget for ITN 63711 69 KV corrective maintenance from $2,786,000 to $4,639,000, a 66.5% increase?
Can you repeat that again? I just want to make sure
Okay.
I understand this.
Would you accept that Pepco's January 31st, 2022 project list update filing increased the 2023 budget for ITN 63711 69 KV corrective maintenance from $2,786,000 to $4,639,000, or a 66% increase?
Can you point me to where that is?
Yes. I am going to ask you to look at. It's in your cross-examination packet. And these are Pepco documents. Your Honor, the first document, or I guess it's the second document in your packet, and you too, Ms. Young, says it's a letter dated January 31st, 2021. It's Pepco's update project list filing, but on the second page, the top of the heading, and the third page, it has a date of January 31st, 2022. And in the commission's docket, it was listed as filing under January 31st, 2022.
That's right.
Okay.
It's a mistake.
Sure.
Apologize.
So I think I should mark this as, is this AOBA Exhibit 2 FR?
Yes.
And the second document is also a Pepco document. It's in your packet. It's dated January 30th, 2023. It says MD 9655 MYP 2023 project list filing, and that date is January 30th, 2023. And Your Honor, I'd like to have this marked as AOBA Exhibit 3 FR.
So marked.
And why, let me try to help you. Take a look at the document, January 31st, 2022, project list filing update, and let's look at page 3. And page 3, would you agree, shows budgeted amounts for ITN 63711 for 2022 and 2023. Do you see that?
Yes.
Now, am I correct that 1 year later, Pepco's January 30th, 2023 project list update filing further increased the company's 2023 budget for 69 planned corrective maintenance under ITN 63711 from $4,639,000 to $6,126,000.
And where's the 6 million?
Let's look at again of AOBA Exhibit 3. To page 3. Somehow page 3 is halfway through the document.
Okay. Okay, I see the number.
Do you see those two numbers?
Yes.
Do you need me to repeat the question?
Yes, what's your question?
Am I correct that 1 year later, Pepco's January 30th, 2023 project list update filing further increased the company's 2023 budget for 69 kV planned corrective maintenance under ITN 63711 from $4,639,000 to $6,126,000.
Yes. One thing I do want to just point out for everyone to understand, under this ITN individual tracking number, this program is really meant to address the most recent preventive maintenance inspection results. And so the expenditures did exceed the budget due to us addressing a backlog of required maintenance. It did increase spending, which was necessary to address aging infrastructure, mitigate the risk of potential system failures, and ensure reliability and safety.
Now, so at this point, ITN 63711 has been narrowed only to address planned corrective maintenance. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what it says on here.
Now, referring to the January 30th, 2023 UPL section little 2, that's the page we're on, corrective maintenance distribution, see that's the title in blue of the chart?
Yes.
Am I correct, you do not show a new ITN or a separate project for 69 kV emergent corrective maintenance?
The emergent corrective maintenance ITN is 63770,
And where are you reading from?
my testimony, page
Okay,
78.
But at the time, just say that number one more time.
The ITN number?
Yeah.
The ITN number for emergent corrective maintenance is 63770.
Okay, we'll get to that. But at the time of the filing of this chart in this UPL January 30th, 2023, there was not a separate ITN identified at that time for emergent corrective maintenance, 69 kV emergent corrective maintenance, correct?
Give me a second. I just want to review this to make sure. No, it does not list that, but one thing I will point out, we do have a line item here that states that projects with budget less than $1 million are not listed on there.
Okay. But you don't know whether that project is included in that less than $1 million category, do
That
you?
would need to be verified.
I'm sorry?
That would need to be verified.
Okay. Ms. Young, if you had reason to anticipate there would be expenditures for emergent corrective maintenance, but you didn't budget for it, why didn't you mention that in your testimony?
So it does list emergent corrective maintenance with a budget of 0 in my testimony, page 78.
Yes, but you listed 0, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So I'm saying, if you had reason to anticipate that there would be expenditures for this, why didn't you have something in your budget rather than 0?
Because it's very hard to anticipate what that value is. It's an emergent blanket. It's similar to storms. We don't budget for storms. We don't budget for emergencies.
Forecasting is difficult, would you agree?
For emergencies, and just to be clear, I do not agree that forecasting is difficult. We've done it plenty of times in other instances, and where we've been able to stay within budget, understanding there's other cost pressures that we need to adhere to.
Ms. Young, yet despite the sizable increases in the company's 2023 budgeted expenditures for ITN 63711 corrective maintenance, the company's actual expenditures for this ITN for 2023 were nearly 3.9 million, or 63.5% above the revised budget the company submitted after the start of calendar year 2023. Is that correct?
Subject to check the numbers.
So, despite the company's labeling of its ITN 63711 as planned corrective maintenance, the company significantly adjusted its planned expenditures for this project during the rate year on the fly. Isn't that actually what the company is doing?
No, it's not. We're not adjusting on the fly. We're using good engineering judgment in order to ensure we are providing safe and reliable service to our customers.
Given what we just observed in terms of the increases, why didn't the company identify more of the increase as emergent rather than planned?
So in many instances, when you have a storm on the system, I just want to make sure I give an example to explain what's happening. When you have a storm on the system, that falls under emergent corrective. Many instances, we button up the system in order to go back and address it. We want to ensure our customers are installed promptly and safely. And we do it in a way in which we button up the system safely, but it may mean we have to go back and address different issues along the way. And so that's the type of work that gets put into that planned corrective maintenance budget. And we've seen storms increase year over year, minor storms in particular, that cause us to do things such as what I just walked through.
I understand your answer, but now let's get back to my question. Given the increases that we just observed in planned corrective maintenance, why didn't the company put more of this increase? Why didn't you classify it as emergent rather than planned? Because your planned numbers kept changing and increasing. So why didn't you identify that as emergent?
The emergent is meant to address storms, real-time events that are happening on the system. This planned corrective maintenance is more about addressing issues that we've seen and observed through, particularly with P20s or 30s or 40s that are necessary to go back and address.
Now I'm going to ask you for right now to please focus on witness Lemmings, RTL-1, Schedule 4, and that's part of his direct.
Say that number again.
Yes, sure.
RTL.
Okay, 1 second. RTL-1, Schedule 4. That's the schedule you can read as opposed to the ones you can't. Then I'm going to ask you to please focus on page 2 of 11.
You have to give me time to find it.
Take
RTL 1-4.
1-4, that's the Schedule 4, page 2 of 11.
Sorry. Page 2 of 11.
I'm only seeing pages of 23. Is
Lemmings direct. Lemming.
Oh, direct.
Yeah,
Do you have his direct testimony up there?
yes.
Okay.
Doug, it looks like this. It has blue lines at the top of the page.
I still can't find it. I can't find this. You said page 2 of 11.
Okay, wait, take a look at, you have witness Lemming's testimony?
Yes.
Okay, so right after the written testimony, which ends on page 13, then you go to RTL 1. And then if you go down a few pages, you go Schedule 1, Schedule 2, Schedule 3, and then you go to Schedule 4. And the chart, if you can see it, it looks like this. Ms. Young?
Yes, this is page 5 of 23 in my book.
Should say Schedule 4, page 1 of 11, 2 of 11. Can I go to the witness and show her my book? Can I help her?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you.
Schedule 4, that's 6 of 23. I want to go, I don't know what that is.
Okay. All right.
This is Lemming. This is his direct.
September 24. Your testimony?
I have his book. This is July 2024.
Was there a rat around?
That's my favorite go-to one. Also, it's got the dividend data. You have to make the point it's a low-risk investment. Dividends keep on going up. I don't know.
Okay.
Keep on going up. No, like, right. So that's, I always feel like it's the only thing I do across that adds anything, you know, otherwise the questions, you know, they're just like, yeah, right. Yeah. So I figure if I get nothing in, I get the investor present, you know, I figure if nothing else, I get their investor presentation. But I can't do that. I thought that was clever the way you used that for this. I wasn't. No, that I have to handle it well.
Do you have it?
I don't even.
Yeah, I have it. I'd pass it to you,
Oh.
but. It's September 24th, errata. and it's 25 of
Now,
50.
did you, let's see,
It's
are
the,
you
it's,
close to that?
it's,
I'm the
no,
cross zone.
it's not in
okay,
there.
right, right.
No, so you have to go to the,
Is
to
that battery
9655.
Livingston National.
You're welcome to look over my shoulder.
I was just also wondering why I couldn't find it.
Right, Amber, I'd send it to you if I.
Oh,
Okay, good.
It's right here. This is what you're looking for, right?
Okay.
No, it's not, it's just on the, it's on,
Okay,
the-
because,
it's on.
well,
the-
absolutely, because, part of our argument is,
We'll get an electronic.
This is what you're looking for, right? September
Yeah, I know.
24th errata.
so that they.
Yeah, so it's page 25 of 52. You got it?
We're gonna call it up electronically. I apologize that I don't have it.
Yeah. And do you wanna just print it out? Yeah. He's just gonna print it out. Do you have it? Yeah. Okay.
What page is it on?
It's 25 of 52. Fred?
Yeah.
He's gonna go print it.
thank you.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
No, I don't.
okay. Thank you.
Sorry, Fran. I didn't.
Yeah, everybody's got, well, everybody's got paper.
Rob is not
And
my.
it's so rare that I actually can find something electronically. I'm feeling empowered.
I have this fantasy of duct
Yeah,
taping
come on,
you to a
Amber,
chair and
you're
making
an engineer, you should be.
I can just like beam it over.
I know.
I'm gonna duct tape you to a chair and force you to read stuff on a computer screen.
You're gonna duct tape me? Like, what's wrong with that? Like, so you're actually using something physical to prevent me from doing something physical.
Right.
Okay.
I recommend it.
I actually like, I can't help it, I like the physicalness of touching something.
I was one delegate on my committee, like,
It should be Rob's errata.
I know, but it's just the
4 or 5 years ago.
Oh,
So for last year's birthday, Bruce bought me something that I could write on, so I, well, so it's some electronic thing where I can send documents, and it has like a little wand, and I can, it's still in the box.
You can do all that with the iPad.
And he still teases me about it, he reminds me periodically, I'm like, I know.
This is still remarkable.
What I told you is literally all I can remember, because it's still in the box, and it's,
You can do that with the iPad. You can write on it and do all that stuff.
No,
yeah, I know.
but I have such terrible handwriting, that's the point, in my opinion.
Yeah, old dog, new tricks.
There's some software now that'll decipher what you write.
There is no software that can decipher my handwriting. That would require a level of AI that would be like Star Trek
So
level.
when Jonathan was in college, this was before you could type stuff. One of his professors begged him to type his final because this is my son, because his handwriting is so, it's not even that it's terrible, it's teeny tiny. So
Electron microscope.
yeah, no, so that was, and then Jonathan would tell other, so Jonathan just got to type all his stuff.
Remember when we were in college,
While we're on break, can I just go to the restroom? Can I?
Oh, that's an excellent thought. 5-minute break?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Yeah.
So we'll
Okay, are we ready to go?
Nice.
Okay. Okay, back on the record.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm sorry about this. I forgot where I left off. Could I have the court reporter read back my last question?
I don't have it.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can figure this out. Your Honor, I may be repeating myself, but if so, I apologize. But before I get back to my cross, I want to ask you a question that relates back to an earlier answer. Are you saying, or did you say, some of the costs in ITN 63770 for emergent 69 kV are actually storm costs?
She's asking if I said 63770.
Correct. For emergent 69 kV, are you saying those are actually storm costs?
Pardon me, Mr. Chairman, could we clarify where we are, what, on the document?
I'm not looking at the document right now. I'm
Oh.
following up on an earlier answer, and then I'll get back to the document.
So what I was saying was it was an emergent ITN, similar to a storm ITN. They're treated in the same way. So it's meant to address emergencies as they come up.
Okay, so some of the costs that were included in 63770 are not storm costs? I want to clarify that.
Just Yeah, this program addresses immediate and unexpected maintenance needs that arise during daily operations. So minor storms could fall in that category. If we don't have a declared storm on the system, it would get captured here.
So minor storms are included in ITN 63770 for emergent 69 kV corrective maintenance. Is that your answer?
Yes, I will repeat what's listed in my testimony. This program is meant to capture.
I'm not asking you what's in your testimony. I'm asking you a direct question.
I understand, but let her answer the question. So
Yeah,
go
so,
ahead and
so I'm
answer the
going to
question.
repeat and read what's in my testimony around what this ITN is meant to capture. And it addresses the immediate and unexpected maintenance needs that arise during daily operations.
Now, my follow-up to that are storm costs also included in that?
Declared storms are not included in that number.
Okay. Okay. Now, am I correct that is shown in Witness Lemmings Exhibit RTL-1, Schedule 4, page 2 of 11, Pepco has established a separate ITN 63770 for emergent 69 kV corrective maintenance.
Yes.
When Pepco budgeted for planned 69 kV corrective maintenance, when Pepco's budgeted costs for planned 69 kV corrective maintenance are changing significantly within less than a year's time, isn't the distinction between planned 69 kV corrective maintenance and emergent 69 kV corrective maintenance at best somewhat vague?
No, and I went through those differences previously. So the planned corrective maintenance is, well, let me start with the emergent corrective maintenance, because those are meant to capture real-time events that happen, whether it be a field personnel driving the line or responding to an event and sees an issue that needs to be addressed immediately. That's addressed in that emergent category. Versus planned is something that has a little bit more time. It may be a P20, something that still needs to be addressed in a required time frame. They're required for 2 weeks. If it's not addressed right away, it gets put into an ITN, and then it gets addressed through those dollars that would be listed there.
Because emergent doesn't always mean emergency, does it? It also means unexpected, correct?
It could be unexpected, but it also could be that it's needed we need to make restoration in order to restore the system back to a safe state.
So when you were using the word emergent, are you always using it to mean emergency?
It means that we need to be able to respond in a appropriate amount of time.
Well, there's different appropriate amounts of time regarding whether something's an emergency or whether it's just something that happens in the ordinary course of events that was unanticipated. So I'm asking you, how do you interpret the word emergent when the company, or when you use it, let's focus on you, when you use it throughout your testimony? Does it always mean emergency, or does it sometimes mean unanticipated?
It could fall into both, honestly.
Okay. Would you accept that Pepco's total actual 2023 expenditures for 69 kV corrective maintenance, planned plus emergent, were more than $8.4 million, or 300% greater than the $2.786 million amount Pepco initially budgeted for 69 kV corrective maintenance in its October 2020 direct testimony in case number 9655?
Yeah, that is correct. And as part of doing our due diligence in order to manage budgets, when we see those type of needs happen on the system, it's important that we work together to make the decision in determining where else can we make cuts in order to support things that are happening in real time.
Now, can you tell the Commission how you would determine the level of cost increase for ITN 63711, at which further expenditures for ITN 63711 would no longer be considered cost effective?
Hold on, can you repeat your question?
Sure. Could you tell the Commission how you would determine the level of cost increase for ITN 63711, at which further expenditures for that ITN would no longer be considered cost effective?
Yeah, so projects in this category are done in order to provide safe and reliable service to our customers. We do things in order to manage those costs, but these projects are required.
So are you saying there is no amount of cost increase for ITN 63711, which would make it imprudent or not cost effective?
Yes, so these are things that need to be addressed. We would have to make that decision on where else can we make cuts in order to support this type of project. Those conversations would have to happen.
So where else you would need to make cuts? Is that your answer? But it wouldn't be not to do this project?
Yeah, these are events that are happening on the system, and if they aren't able to provide safe and reliable service to our customers, yes, we do need to address them.
At any cost?
Again, we take measures in order to control cost, but yes, we have to provide that service.
Now, I handed out 2 exhibits earlier. We labeled them, they were company documents. One was Pepco's January 31, 2022 update project list. The other was Pepco's January 30, 2023 update project list. And I'm going to ask you to please turn to page 3 of each document, and I want to compare them side by side. I have to, but this is, I know, yeah, they're funny pages. No. Let me find it for you.
Okay, no, I think
This is page 3 in the 23 document. It looks like this.
okay.
Okay. And this is page, well, actually, this is page 3 in this document. Do you have them?
These, yes, I have them.
Is she looking at the right ones?
I think so, Fran.
You said page 3 of,
Yes, but it's the 3 on the number of the pages.
it's correct.
The corrective maintenance distribution, that's what they both say, corrective maintenance distribution. Little 2, it says at the top, corrective maintenance distribution, says that on the top of both.
yes, I'm here.
Okay. Would you agree that the bullet points under the heading corrective maintenance distribution on these 2 pages are word by word identical?
Yes,
Okay, this is for corrective maintenance distribution, correct?
yes.
Can you point the commission to anything in these filings that quantitatively documents and explains in greater detail the basis for the specific dollar increases in the company's budgeted costs for ITN 63711?
So what I'll point you all to is page 79, Q&A 221, where I discuss the drivers for the increased spend for corrective maintenance in 2023.
Okay, and those are the drivers, but that is not a quantitative, you do not present a quantitative analysis, quantitative documents?
So you're referring to the cost of benefit analysis?
Well, anything in these filings that quantitatively, that explains with numbers in greater detail the basis for the specific dollar increases. If I'm looking at the 2022 first number, it's $3,328,000, and then we go to $4,639,000, then we go to $6,126,000, then we go to $6,416,000. Is there anything in these filings that quantitatively documents and explains the reasons for the specific dollar increases in the company's budgeted cost for ITN 63711?
So the explanation, and I'll still point you to page 79, is on line 20 to 21, and lines 15 and 16. So declared storms for 15 million unbudgeted expenditures, while emergency restoration overhead production by 5.1 million. Emergent corrective maintenance for 69 kV lines incurred 1.2 million in costs, adding to the 10 million spent on planned corrective maintenance. And then, additionally, on line 20, unplanned P30, P40 overhead and underground replacements contributed to 14.9 million despite no prior allocation. That explains the justification that you asked for. I do not have a benefit to cost analysis for the reasons that I mentioned previously, for work that is required within, in order to provide safe and reliable service for our customers. We do not complete a benefit to cost analysis.
Now I'm going to ask you once again to please reference witness Lemming's direct testimony, RTL 1, Schedule 4, page 2.
Okay, I'm here.
Did you have input into the drafting of the variance explanation for ITN 63711 that is shown on the first line of the table on page 2 of Exhibit RTL-1, Schedule 4?
I did not write this, and
You did not write that?
no.
Who wrote that?
Witness Lemming would need to explain that.
Witness Lemming can...
This is his testimony. He can explain who wrote that.
Do you know if Witness Lemming wrote it, or he can just explain it?
Your Honor, she said ask Mr. Lemming.
Yeah. You can ask him, I guess.
Okay. Okay, can you just take a look and read that variance explanation for a moment? And just take a look at that, that line.
Okay.
Do you find any reason to disagree with any elements with any elements of the explanation provided for the variance between budgeted and actual expenditures for 2023 for ITN 63711?
Can you just repeat that question? I want to make sure I understand.
Do you find any reason to disagree with any of the elements in the explanation provided for the variance between budgeted and actual expenditures for 2023 for ITN 63711?
No.
Now, the first sentence of the variance explanation for ITN 63711 states, Pepco 69 kV overhead system is aging and requires extensive equipment and pole replacements. Do you agree that's what it says?
Yes, I do.
Would you agree that the company's 69 kV system is always aging, and that the term aging in and of itself does not tell the commission a lot about the status of any specific element of the company's 69 kV system?
So I would say the system is aging, and you know, we do things to ensure we are making repairs or putting in new equipment where necessary, but it's a 100-plus-year-old system. We've been maintaining it in phases throughout the years. We're always running into pieces where there's aged equipment on the system.
Okay, could you just move the mic a little closer to you?
Sure.
Thank you, thank you. Is there anything in this variance explanation presentation, RTL 1, Schedule 4, page 2, or in the testimony that you present in your rebuttal, that documents and explains how the aging of the company's 69 overhead system in 2023 was different from the aging of those facilities that was anticipated when the company developed its initial or revised budgets for ITN 63711.
I'm not sure I have the specifics of the age system in here.
You're not sure you have the specifics of the,
The age system? You said aging?
so you can't provide an answer to that question?
Repeat your question.
Is there anything in the variance explanation, RTL-1, Schedule 4, page 2, in the testimony that you present in rebuttal, that documents or explains how the aging of the 69 kV overhead system in 2023 was different from the aging of those facilities that was anticipated that when the company developed its initial and/or revised budgets for ITN 63711, I guess prior to the filing, the October 26th filing in 2021 of your application?
So what I'll point to is page 81, question 224, question and answer 224, where the question talks about how does aging infrastructure impact spending in Pepco's corrective maintenance category. There is a section that talks about the aging equipment and what we do to address it specific to the category that you're referencing.
But I guess my question went to what was different, because remember, we're talking about corrective maintenance distribution when we talk about 63711. Was there anything that was different from the time that you filed your testimony, well, from the case, when the case was filed in October 26, 2021, to now?
Yes, so this gets back to my comment earlier. This is an age system. To your question, no, I don't have that in here, but I just want to make sure it's fully understood. This is an age system. Anytime you have wind, rain, storms come through, it's gonna get your weak points basically. And so this ITN, this project, is basically meant to go back and address where you have issues based on real-time events that are happening on your system.
One minute, Your Honor, I'm just trying to read this print. In the second sentence of the company's variance explanation for ITN 63711 in Exhibit RTL1 Schedule 4 suggests, quote, there is a significant backlog of poles that need replacement in the next 1 to 5 years. Do you see that?
Yes.
Can you cite anywhere in the direct or rebuttal testimony that the company has filed in this case where the magnitude of the referenced significant backlog is quantified?
Would it help if I gave the page number in the testimony?
Your Honor, counsel can't keep answering questions
Yeah, so,
for the witness.
Okay,
no, I understand. So,
apologize, I can't find the reference to that. Give me 1 second. So, if I can point you to page 87
Of what document?
of my rebuttal testimony, there's a chart that lists the 69 kV pole defect type,
I'm sorry, what page?
page 87, and it lists the total count of pole defect by year.
I'm looking at the chart on page 87, and to me, that doesn't quantify the magnitude of the significant backlog. There's nothing relating to backlog here that I'm looking at.
It specifically lists defects that were identified and how many there are and the fact that they've increased over time.
Yes, I see that it increased over time, but it kept increasing. There is nothing that quantifies backlog. Is that correct? This is the total count of poles defect found by year, correct? That's what it says.
Yes.
Okay, so there's nothing that quantifies the backlog, and I also don't see over what period of time that significant backlog developed.
It lists the time of the issues were identified, and you can see how it's increased over time. To the point that I made earlier, we've seen an increase in storms that has increased the issues that we see on the system. You see damaged split poles and other issues that we continue to have to address.
Okay, but where's the number of the backlog that needs to be addressed in the next 1 to 5 years? What's the number?
This lists all the issues that we're seeing based on the inspections that were done on these 69 kV poles.
So you can't point me to one number that lists a number for the backlog, is that correct?
This is the only information that I have. This is the information that I have.
Okay, thank you. Now, we just reviewed the company's variance explanation in Witness Lemming's RTL-1 Schedule 4, which references poles in need of replacement over the next 1 to 5 years. Have you presented any detail in your rebuttal which quantifies the portion of the reference significant backlog that the company addressed through its RY3 capital expenditures?
Can you repeat that question?
Have you presented in detail in your rebuttal, any detail in your rebuttal, which quantifies the portion of the reference significant backlog that the company addressed through its RY3 capital expenditures?
So I'll point you back to the table. I'll also point you to question 23 on page 88, where I discuss Pepco's poles, pole towers, fixtures, have nearly 75% of their expected useful lives remaining. And again, given different issues that we see from a field perspective or real-time events that happen, that number can increase significantly.
In your answer, did you mean to say that, looking at the chart on page 87, that all of these poles were replaced or addressed in its RY3 capital expenditures?
No, I did not say that.
Okay. Then could you repeat your answer to my question is, what was the number, you pointed me to this chart, what was the number of poles replaced, and what Where is the variance explanation, and have you presented any detail which quantifies the referenced significant backlog that you addressed in your RY3 capital expenditures? I want to know what's in this case. What's in the RY3 capital expenditures? What number?
I think I'm going to object. That's been asked and answered more than once.
Well, but I think we're still looking for the answer, so I guess I need a definitive response, one way or the other, so.
I don't have that specific backlog number.
Okay.
Did you personally perform engineering calculations to verify the cost effectiveness of the company's 2023 corrective maintenance expenditures?
Did I personally perform, repeat that again?
Did you personally perform engineering calculations to verify the cost effectiveness of the company's 2023 69 kV corrective maintenance expenditures?
I did not personally perform that, and I'll repeat, what I've said throughout sitting up here. We do not perform cost to benefit or benefit to cost analysis on projects which are required to provide safe and reliable service for our customers. These projects done that.
Now, please turn to your rebuttal testimony on page 67. And focus on the question that starts on line 20.
Okay.
In that question, you reference ALBA witness Oliver's direct testimony at page 23, line 6, and assert that his testimony points out that Pepco's transformer load management category underspent its budget. Is that correct?
Did you say page 23, line
Yeah.
6?
Page 23, line 6.
23.
No, that you're referencing. Take a look at your line 20.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, what's your question?
Okay. Now, please turn to the reference page and line of Mr. Oliver's direct testimony. Are you there?
Yes.
In fact, nothing in witness Oliver's direct testimony at the reference page 23 makes any specific mention of the company's transformer load management expenditures. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, turning back to your rebuttal testimony at page 67, lines 21 through 22, you refer to the transformer load management category. Do you see that?
Yes.
Am I correct that Pepco's transformer load management is the project ITN 73903, and it is not one of Pepco's identified executive categories? Is that correct?
Are you referring to the executive categories that's listed?
No, my question is that Pepco's transformer load management project number 73903, that is not one of Pepco's identified executive categories. Is that correct?
And I just want to make sure when you say the executive categories, you're referring to what you just pointed me to on page 23.
I am looking,
I see what you're looking at, but you pointed me to page 23 where the reference is to executive categories, and I just wanted to ensure that's what you were referring to.
I pointed you to page 23 where you discussed the company's transformer load management expenditures. That's why I pointed you to page 23.
Yeah, I understand, and it says executive categories there. I just was confirming that that's the same executive categories you're referring to, and the answer is no. I just wanted the clarification. Thank you.
Well, let's just take a look. Let's look at Lemming's Exhibit RTL 1, Schedule 4, page 1 of 11. Tell me when you're there.
I'm here.
Good. Now, if you take a look, it says 73903, transformer load management. See that? That's the description.
Yes.
It's project number 73903. This is within the capacity expansion distribution executive category, correct?
Yes.
So it is not identified as an executive category. It is identified as a capacity expansion distribution executive category, correct?
That is correct.
Now, on the following page of your rebuttal testimony, page 68, at lines 7 through 8, I'm looking at lines 7 and 8, you assert that Mr. Oliver did not even review the actual cost incurred. Is that your understanding?
Yeah, so I believe this was something we addressed in discovery where we corrected that, and that would be my mistake for not correcting that previously.
So that's incorrect at this moment, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm gonna ask you to, I'm gonna mark another exhibit that's in your packet. Your Honor, there's a page that says on the front, December 9th, 2024. It's AOBA's responses to Pepco data request number 1. That's the cover page, the filing page. And if you turn it over, it is AOBA's response to, excuse me, it is AOBA's response to question 1-4. Could you just take a, Your Honor, I'd like to mark that as a cross-examination exhibit. My papers are buried in this. Is it AOBA 5? 4?
4, I
It's
think.
AOBA 4.
Yeah.
Ms. Francis, can you talk into the microphone?
I'd like to mark it as AOBA 4. Thank you.
4FR.
For AOBA 4SR. Can you verify that this was AOBA's response to Pepco data request 1-4?
Yes.
Oh. Now, please turn to page 73 of your rebuttal testimony. And focus on the question that starts on line 10. As well as your answer to that question.
Okay.
At page 73, lines 10 through 12, you reference what is characterized as AOBA's claim that alternatives were not sufficiently considered for the White Flint substation project. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you to take a look at page 37, lines 15 through 18 of Witness Oliver's direct. So in fact, what you reference in your rebuttal testimony as AOBA's claim is actually a direct quote from the commission in order number 89868, page 94, paragraph 227. Is that correct?
Yes, that is a quote.
Okay. Now, turning back to your rebuttal testimony at page 73, I'd like to focus on your statement at lines 14 through 17.
Okay.
Now, on those lines you state, I quote, "While AOBA's claim highlights the absence of a formal cost-benefit study, the company's confidential attachment provided in response to AOBA data request 14-1 outlines a detailed overview of considerations including customer benefits, system reliability, and future demand needs." Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Is it your position that an overview of considerations such as customer benefits, system reliability, and future demand needs represents an appropriate and acceptable substitute for quantitative analysis?
Yeah, so I'll still stand by the fact and the comments that I've made throughout my time on here. For projects that are required to provide safe and reliable service to our customers, which White Flint is also one of those projects, we do not do cost and benefit analysis.
Okay. You anticipated my next question, but just to be clear, so what you were saying, the company has not filed a quantitative analysis of the cost and benefits for the White Flint substation project. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I am going to ask you to look at your exhibit, ACYR-1. $169 of 256 through 197 of 256.
And these are all confidential, Ms. Francis?
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that. I'm going to be really careful. We may have to go into confidential session.
Okay, can I just, Ms. Young, if there's anything that you think is confidential in the answer, please let us know before you answer.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to ask you to start just to take a look at pages 190 through 193. going to ask some very general questions, but if your answer would require some confidential information, hold off and we'll put it off.
Okay.
Okay. I'm looking at page 190 to 193 of 256. And on these pages, the slides appear to address business, customer, social, and environmental benefits. Do I understand that correctly?
That is correct.
Where in these pages where the company purports to address benefits is the value of benefits quantified in terms of dollars? If you could just point me to a page and number, don't say the number. Just point me to a page and show me where it is.
I believe I'm going to object. It's been asked and answered. This is the White Flint project, and I believe it's already been asked and answered if we've provided a quantified number. I mean, we've plowed this ground.
Well, I can point them to one number, but I don't want to say it, so
All right, I'll let the witness answer, so.
I just want to make sure I'm clear with your question. Are you referring to a cost of benefit analysis?
well, this says business benefits, it says social benefits, it says customer benefits, so you talk about the benefits. So I'm just looking, where are there numbers, environmental benefits? Are there numbers on these pages where you are specifically addressing various benefits?
Yeah, they're listed in the same sections that you referenced.
Yeah, they are. Business benefits on page 190 of 256, customer benefits of 191 of 256, social benefits of 192 of 256, and environmental benefits of 193 of 256.
So any benefit number, I'll point you to page 190 of 256 under business benefits. There's operational benefits there that's listed.
Okay, where's there a number under operational benefits? Number, quantification.
In the first line under operational.
Are we on business benefits? I don't see any dollar numbers on that page.
There isn't a dollar number, it's a percentage.
That's what I'm looking for, a dollar number. There are no dollar numbers on that page, correct?
So we do not do a cost benefit analysis.
Well, let's, okay, I'm gonna point you to, and I don't want you to say a number. This exhibit, page 192 of 256. In the first block, increases diverse supplier spend. All the way on the right, I see a dollar figure. I suppose that dollar figure and the explanation are confidential. Is that correct, Mr. McKeel?
Yes,
Okay.
it's marked confidential information.
But do you see that number?
Yes, I see it.
Okay. So there is a dollar figure number in one dollar figure number in all of these pages discussing benefits, correct?
As far as the dollar figure, yes.
Now, could you tell me, is the entire value of that contract under that section a benefit to the public? Benefit to ratepayers?
There are various benefits that are outlined in this document, and each one is listed here, so I won't walk through them specifically.
But I'm only asking you about one. I'm not
I
talking
get it,
about-
and you can't just look at that one as a silo.
That's the only one that has a number. So for the moment, could you please bear with me and let's just focus on that number, because that's the only one that has a dollar value. So I'd like to ask you some questions only about that one. Is that entire value with the dollar figure of that entire contract, are you considering that a benefit to the public?
So this is a benefit to the public in that it employs the community in which we serve. It employs a diverse supplier. This is a benefit to the community in which we serve.
The entire amount. Whatever it is, we can cite it in brief. Whatever it is that entire amount a benefit to the public?
Look, you have to look at this as in its entirety.
Well, it's the only
We can't
thing I
just
can
look at that one number.
It's the only thing I can look at because it's the only thing there's a number with. So I don't understand why you're having trouble when I'm just trying to talk about one number that you put where you talk about many benefits, but it's the only number I have on these pages. So I just want you to stick with that number.
So I do think that is a benefit, yes.
You said that. Is that entire amount, that entire dollar amount listed on that page, is that entire amount a benefit to the public? Yes or no?
Yeah, we have to look at this in its entirety. It is a benefit. It is a benefit. The fact that we have to do this project, the fact that it is providing electricity based on an increase in load, we have to do work. The fact that we're supporting the community in which we serve and to be able to do that, that is a benefit. Yes.
Would you agree with me that there is nothing else on any of these pages where there's a dollar value assigned to a benefit?
I'm going to object to the extent that she's asking about ACYR in total. If she's asking about ACYR1 pages 190 through 194,
Your Honor, I was very specific.
Let him finish and then
that's okay. I just want to make sure she's only asking about this page 190 through 194 that we've been talking about now for 20 minutes.
That's all I'm asking about. I'm having a hard time getting a simple answer. So what else in these pages from 190 to 190?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have to sort of ask for clarity on where we're going with this, because this is the final reconciliation, and I thought we were dealing with just the costs that Pepco is asking for recovery for, and you're not asking for recovery for White Flint. So I don't understand why we're talking about White Flint. I mean, I understand that at some point we're going to be talking about White Flint, but it's White Flint is not something they're asking for cost recovery from. So I don't understand why we're going down this path.
The problem is that they've got the cost.
You have to bring the mic closer to you. It's one mic.
Okay.
Any mic.
The problem is that they have the ITN number for White Flint. They have discussed the ITN number. At some point, we're having a hard time tracing the cost. The total amount for all different projects, and we're exploring that all along the way. We're having a hard time putting dollar figures around the costs of some of these projects that at some point they will come back and ask for recovery of. So,
Absolutely, and when they come back, it's just that there are a lot of projects that we'll be dealing with, but I think it's really important to not overburden the proceeding with a project that they're not asking for cost recovery from.
but they've got the costs and the ITN numbers in this case, even though it's not, quote, used and useful. They have set the stage for it, and if we don't deal with it now, we won't be able to get to it in the future when they say, oh, there were costs that occurred before, but what are they? We can't trace them. We don't have any record of them. We can't compile them. I'm looking for dollar figures and explanations about those dollar figures.
No,
because
I don't think there's any question. And you went through the ITN for the 69 kV.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that is something that you are seeking cost recovery for. But I think for this reconciliation, we really have to just be focused on the asks of Pepco now, and not worry about the asks in the future. But that's just my opining.
Okay, well, I'm going to go to a new topic anyway. Now I'm going to look at billable damage claims. Am I correct that you're the responsible witness for the matters relating to billable damage claims under ITN 75200?
Can you point me to what you're referencing?
Lemming rebuttal, 1 second. Lemming rebuttal, RTL 2, page 4 of 4. 1 second. RTL Lemming rebuttal.
You said RTL 2, page 4 of 4?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't RTL 2 a one page?
I have RTL 2, 4 pages.
It's, I apologize, it's rebuttal.
Oh. I don't have his rebuttal.
You want to get that too? Rob, can we get your rebuttal,
I'll make it easier for you. Let's look at Lemming's rebuttal, table 1 in his testimony.
I don't have his rebuttal. Oh, you know what? I have his book. Rob, I got this. Sorry. RTL 2.
Mm-hmm. Or why don't you look at, I think it'd be easier, table 1 for Lemming's rebuttal.
I'm on page 4.
Okay, I just moved to this one. What can I tell you?
Okay, where am I moving to?
Am I correct that are you the responsible witness for matters relating to billable damage claims under ITN 75200?
Yes.
Okay.
This is also a project we're not seeking recovery on.
Now, I'm going to ask you to turn to here's the bottom of page 9. Okay, I'm going to focus now on your rebuttal. Bottom of page 9. Line 11.
You said my rebuttal, page 9, line 11?
Line 11, and continuing through page 10, line 2. Do you address Pepco's RY3 capital expenditures for below threshold projects?
What page are we on again?
Starting at page 9, line 11,
Okay.
continuing through page 10, line 2.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Now, am I correct that you present a listing of Pepco's RY3 below threshold capital projects in ACY R-3?
Yes.
Now, please turn to ACY R3.
Okay.
And I don't believe that's a confidential document, correct?
No, it is not.
And take a minute to take a look at the content of that schedule.
Okay.
With Schedule ACY R3 prepared by you or under your direct supervision and control.
Yes.
Now, am I correct that the listing providing an ACY R3 lists over 275 projects, not one of which is specifically identified as the Pepco project?
As the what?
As a Pepco project.
Yep, that is correct.
I'm sorry?
That is correct.
In fact, the vast majority of projects in these listing are DPL projects. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, how is the information you presented in ACY R3 relevant to this proceeding?
Yeah, it's not. This was provided in error.
Thank you. Now, let's please reference ACY R5. And in ACY R5, you present portions of testimonies filed by witnesses for utilities in proceedings in Colorado and Minnesota. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Can you explain how you identified these specific testimonies?
Yeah, so working with my counsel, we worked to identify this.
Okay. So you and counsel did a search?
Yeah, we seek to understand what other utilities' practices are. That's good utility practice to kind of understand what the industry is doing.
And can you tell me what criteria were used to identify these pieces of testimony out of all of the electric utility proceedings in states across this country over the last several years? What criteria did you use to select these two?
So it's important to understand utilities in which witnesses Stevens and Alvarez have worked at do similar approaches to our proactive equipment replacement.
So you started with cases where OPC witness Stevens and Alvarez have testified, and you
I didn't start there, but it was just important to understand that this is a good utility practice, even done in places where those who are intervening in this testimony have also worked and supported that type of practice.
So what other criteria besides referencing Stevens and Alvarez did you use to narrow your search to these two companies?
I'm going to object. It's not relevant to anything we're presented
Well,
in this
I mean,
proceeding.
Actually, but it's part of her direct testimony. So you guys put it in there. So I guess you'll have to explain why it's there. So.
Yeah, and going back to the point that I made, it is important to understand that good utility practice does proactive replacements in evaluating the maintenance history, the outage history, age, the average age of equipment. That is standard across the utilities and and consistent with the methods in which we do.
But you only picked 2 out of the entire country. You could have picked many more. And the one criteria that I heard you say were places where Stevens and Alvarez testified. Was there anything else, any other criteria, size of utility, how long they've had MYPs, any other
I'm-
criteria that you used?
I'm going to object that she's mischaracterized Ms. Young's testimony. She didn't say where they testified. She said utilities where they worked. Both Mr. Alvarez and Mr. Stevens worked for Xcel Energy, Public Service Colorado, and Northern States out of Minnesota.
I'm going to ask
is an
Mr.
Xcel
McKeel to
company.
please stop testifying. It's
Look,
just not appropriate.
I understand, but let him offer his objection.
I'll stick with her answer as it's reflected in the transcript.
Okay.
So, what other criteria did you use besides referencing witnesses Alvarez and Stevens?
The fact that they're consistent practices with ours for proactive replacement.
Okay. Did you examine any testimony that may have been filed in the 2 proceedings that you cite by other parties in those proceedings in response to the testimonies that you submitted of David Minow?
No.
Am I correct that you offer no information regarding the positions of the other parties regarding the matters addressed in the extracted portions of the testimony you present in ACYR-5?
That's correct. So this is focused on the operations
I
witness.
understand, but,
Yeah.
and that's good enough, so.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
No, go ahead and answer your next question, so.
Okay. Did you review the transcripts from the proceedings in which those testimonies were filed to assess the concerns of the commission or other parties that may have been expressed regarding the content of their testimony?
No.
Do you offer any information regarding how the utility regulators in Colorado and Minnesota addressed the reference portions of the testimony in any final orders they rendered?
No.
I have another exhibit, Your Honor. I'm going to ask you to look at your packet.
Yeah.
And if I could find it, it's AOPA data request set 16, question 19.
Where are you pointing me?
In your packet, there is Pepco's public responses to AOBA data request number 16 dated February 7th.
Yes.
And Your Honor, I'd like to mark this as AOBA Exhibit 5,
5FR.
5FFR. And Ms. Young, can you see? Okay. Am I correct that you're the sponsor of this data request response?
Yes, I am.
Now, as part of this response to AOBA DR 16, question 19, you provide a listing of the members of the Project Concurrence Committee. Am I correct that the listed personnel are the individuals who reviewed and approved the, quote, GIS core, end quote, PCC presentation?
Yes.
Now, would you agree that at least 6 of the 8 people listed have limited or no direct familiarity with the details of Pepco's Maryland operations and its customer needs?
Yes. What's important to understand there, so this is the ultimate final review prior to getting to this step, it is reviewed with every technical services operations VP because GIS is a system that impacts those areas. So there was sign off from the VPs within Pepco Holdings and Pepco in order to support this project before it got to that final process.
Your Honor, can I just have 3 minutes? I'm going to move to cross the rebuttal, and I just want to get my papers that are organized. Thank you. Ms. Young, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to be focused on your rebuttal testimony.
Okay.
Now, at pages 33 to 36 of your rebuttal testimony, you address Pepco's double wood pole replacement program. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Would you agree that cost of Pepco's removal of double wood poles are reflected in ITN 63931?
Give me a second to just confirm that number. Yes, that is correct.
Now, your discussion of double wood pole replacements at page 34, starting at line 18, references PC 38, which was convened by this commission in part to address issues associated with double wood poles. As part of that discussion, you provide a reference to ACY SR-1 for the PC 38 order ruling, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Now, please turn to your ACY SR-1.
Okay.
Now, I'm noting that this is a confidential attachment, so again, I'm going to, I have this as ACR-1 confidential.
You're in rebuttal there, Ms.
Yes, I'm
Frank?
sorry, yeah.
And we're in Sir rebuttal.
Okay, well, I'm going back to this. Oh, now please, wait a minute. Okay, you're right. Let me go to this. I'm sorry, let's go to, Mr. McKeel is right. Let's go to ACY SR-1 as part of your Sir rebuttal.
Okay, I'm here.
Now, am I correct that the title of the document provided in ACY SR-1 reads, "A Report on Utility Pole Attachments in Maryland," correct?
That is correct.
Now, what is the date of that report?
2016.
January 15th,
January 15th, 2016.
Am I correct that the PC 38 order ruling to which you refer is found on pages 18 of 19 and 19 of 19 in ACYSR 1?
Yes.
Am I correct that the referenced order ruling is dated November 8th, 2017?
Yes.
Can I assume that you have read and are generally familiar with the content of the document that is provided as ACYSR 1?
I'm generally familiar with it.
Now, please turn to page 11 of 19 in ACSR 1.
Page 11?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, in Table 1, at the top of page 11 of 19, we find a listing of the numbers of double wood poles by owner. Am I correct that Table 1 shows Pepco owning 3,398 double wood poles?
At that point in time? Yes.
Now, just below Table 1, on page 11 of 19 of Schedule ACYSR 1, do you see a statement that indicates in 2013, Pepco and other utilities entered into agreements designed to expedite the removal of legacy double poles, end quote. Do you see that?
Yes, I see it.
Did Pepco in fact expedite the removal of double wood poles in Maryland?
Yes, we did. We complied with this. What's important to note with double wood poles is it's going to consistently change. So we're putting in poles based on failures. That is always going to happen, right? Like it's not a once and done thing. You address them and they go away. We're going to need to replace poles based on inspections and whatever may happen. And if for some reason whoever else is connected to that pole can't disconnect and move to the new pole, they stay there. So I just want to make sure it's understood that this is going to be a rolling number and it's all dependent on what's happening real time.
Now, is there anywhere in your testimony or exhibits, in this case, that you document the number of wood poles remaining on Pepco's Maryland system as of the time of the PC order ruling, which was November 8th, 2017?
Keep in mind that number constantly changes, so I just want to make sure that's clear before I look back.
I'm looking at the number for as of November 8th, 2017.
We don't have that on here. We don't have a date dating back to 2017. Is that the year you referenced?
I'm referencing the timing of the filing of this report.
Yeah, so we don't have that in my testimony. The purpose of it being there is just to explain this has been a good utility practice in which we still do, and the numbers of double wood poles are going to consistently change based on what's happening in real time.
Okay, I just want to make sure my question was clear. The number of wood poles as of the time of the PC 38 order ruling, which was November 8th, 2017. Just want to make sure that I was clear.
And you're asking for it in my testimony?
Or anywhere in this case, but it would be in your testimony if it was there.
For Pepco, it lists this 3,300 number. Is that what you're referencing?
No, I'm not referencing a number. I'm asking you, I'm looking for you to document the number of double wood poles remaining on Pepco's Maryland system as of the time of the PC order ruling, which was November 8th, 2017.
So for November 8th, 2017, that number is not specifically listed in my testimony.
Okay, thank you. Now, in the next to the last sentence of the same page, on page 11 of 19, do you see a statement, Verizon completed its efforts to remove existing double poles in the Pepco service territory before the end of 2014. Do you see that? Second sentence in the paragraph on page 11.
Yes, I see it.
Now, did you have any reason to question the accuracy of that statement?
No, I don't.
Now, does the final sentence of that paragraph indicate BG&E's expectation that all of its double poles would be removed by the end of 2018?
Yeah, so I just want to be clear with what I stated previously. That number is going to constantly change. We're putting in new poles all the time. If you can't disconnect and reconnect communications to the new pole, that pole's going to sit there.
Now, my question was, does the final sentence of that paragraph indicate BG&E's expectation that all of its double poles would be removed by the end of 2018?
That's what this sentence says.
Do you have any reason to dispute that?
I don't have the BGE information and shouldn't be speaking to that.
Now, I am going to give another cross-examination exhibit. In your packet is,
Crystal, could you bring the mic closer to you? I'm just having.
I'm sorry, I've just got so many papers.
No, I
I don't know
understand.
what to look at first.
Yeah, I feel
Okay.
like I'm going back too,
Okay.
so.
Wait a minute, let me
Problem of,
try to, all right, let me. Is that better?
much better,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. I have a document in your packet. It has a BG&E symbol on the top right-hand corner. It says the heading, PC 38 in the matter of the current status of the market for attachments to utility poles in Maryland, and the date is March 27th, 2020, and it's 2 pages. Do you see that?
Yes, I see it.
Okay, and Your Honor, I'd like to mark this as AOBA Exhibit 6FR.
5 would be the right number.
5.
And
No,
and-
actually 6.
Is it
6?
six?
Yeah, we're up
Okay.
to 6. So.
And I would object to this. It's a BG&E document. It's not relevant to this proceeding.
Your Honor, may I just mark the exhibits and I'll establish relevance when...
Okay, we'll mark it, and then you can.
She quoted the PC docket in her testimony. She also has numbers for BG&E in that exhibit, and I'll get back to those and look at it in a minute. I'd just like to mark as AOBA Exhibit 7,
Wait a minute.
FR. This says Pepco Holdings. In the matter of the current status of the market for attachments to utility poles in Maryland, Administrative Docket PC 38, Annual Report. And it's 4 pages. The first page says March 28th, 2019. The second page is the same heading with the date March 25th, 2020. The third page says March 24th, 2021. And the fourth page says March 22nd, 2022.
You're marking it as 7.
That was 7.
No, no.
Your Honor, she put ACYSR1, which also makes reference to BG&E, has numbers about BG&E on page 9. She references PC 38 in her testimony. This is a public filing with the commission. She cited the PC commission ruling of November 7th, November 8th, 2017. This is just one filing in response to that docket, which she brought up and she cited. So I think it is relevant.
I'm going to object to the
well,
relevant.
actually, let me talk this time. So I guess I don't understand how we connect the dots between the reference to the commission's ruling in this, or the commission document in PC 38 and BG&E's particular filing on that, and how that connects up with this case. So that's the part I'm missing. So.
Okay, well, let me start with Pepco. I'll start with the Pepco document
Sure.
first, okay? Okay. I'll come back to BG&E. Do you find any reason, and I'm focused on AOBA Exhibit 7FR, those 4 pages, do you find any reason to question the authenticity of these reports that happen to be signed by Doug McKeel, all 4 of them?
Do I have reason to what?
To question the authenticity.
No, I do not.
Would you accept that these reports indicate that Pepco removed 1,950 double wood poles in 2018,
Yes.
1950 double wood poles in 2018, 460 wood poles in 2019, 881 poles in 2020, and 1,095 poles in 2021?
Yes.
Okay, would you accept, subject to check, that those reports reflect Pepco's removal of a total of 4,386 double wood poles over the 4-year period from 2018 through 2021, subject to check?
Subject to check.
Can you identify anywhere in the testimony and schedules filed by Pepco, in this case, that reports the number of double wood poles Pepco removed in either 2022 or 2023?
Page 36 of my rebuttal testimony, line 3.
Page 36, hold on.
It reads, in 2023, Pepco removed 464 double poles.
And how about for 2022?
No, we're not seeking recovery for rate year 22. That number's not in here.
So 464 double poles in 2023, and at a cost of $1.5 million, correct?
Yes.
Can you cite any place in Pepco's testimony and schedules in this proceeding that the number of double wood poles remaining on the system at the end of 2022 is provided?
I'm going to object. This is for rate year 3, which I believe is 2023. So it's not relevant, the number of poles in 2022.
Rate year 3 is not 2023. Rate year 3 goes into the first 3 months of 2024. So I just want to correct that misstatement. However, I wanted to know what they started with. They said they replaced 464 double wood poles. What was in the backlog? Where were those poles from? Were they just new poles that they replaced, or did we have 1,000 left that they were still trying to get through? Where were those poles from? I mean, the commission has,
All right, enough.
okay.
To the extent you can explain the universe of double wood poles, go ahead. So.
Okay, so I'll just explain how this works again. So for whatever reason, a pole needs to be replaced, and that happens various times throughout the year. It could be a car hits a pole. It could be there was an inspection done. The pole needed to be replaced. There are many reasons that require poles to be replaced. If the other utility that is attached to that pole, so for example, a communication utility is attached to that pole, we have to leave that other pole there. There is a requirement to still come back, and we have an obligation to the community. It's been feedback that we've received to go ahead and remove those poles. So that number is going to continue to evolve.
Can you point the commission to any information in your testimony and exhibits that indicates the number of double wood poles remaining on the company's Maryland distribution system at the end of calendar year 2023? I'm looking for a total number of the poles needing replacement as of December 31st, 2023, which is within rate year 3.
If that number is not in here.
Fair enough.
Now, can you provide your understanding of why Pepco is still incurring significant cost every year for double wood pole removal more than a decade after the company reportedly entered into an agreement to expedite its removal of double wood poles?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. It's been asked and answered.
Actually, I think he's right on that one. I mean, I've heard this, explanation by the company about the process they go through with replacement of double wood poles, so I think the answer is actually in the record.
Okay, Your Honor, I wanted to get back and discuss now the BG&E document that I had, and this was being used to show how many poles BG&E has replaced, how many legacy double wood poles they had, how many current wood poles they have, and the amount that Pepco is doing pales in comparison to other utilities who have been able to replace substantial amounts of poles every year. And that was what the BG&E document was being used for. And it is part of PC 38 that this witness cited, and this witness put the letter ruling in the case with annual reports to be filed with the commission for 5 years.
Understood.
I'm sorry.
Understood, but we're not going to admit it. So.
Now, I'd like to show you a copy of your schedule, ACY-1. The first page of that filing.
Is that ACY?
Wait. Don't look for it because I'm going to give it to you. The first page of that filing in case 9702 and the page 24. It's in your packet. I do have a complete copy in the room. It's her testimony in case 9702.
That's the document entitled Long Range Plan.
Yes, it looks like this.
All right, thank you.
Looks like this. Okay.
It's just a single page.
This is your
This,
8F.
back of this page.
Yeah, I've asked that this be marked as 8FR.
Yeah, so this is the front page, and then you look on the back. The information's on the back.
This section, this is
It's
just a
just-
single page.
Right.
It's just, the first page just shows
Right.
that it's filed by Pepco. It's page 24.
Sure. Got it.
Ms. Young, am I correct that your schedule ACY-1 in case number 9702 projects that in every year through 2027, Pepco will incur at least $500,000 for Maryland doublewood pole removal under ITN 63931?
Yes, that was the budget at that point in time.
Okay. Now, please turn to page 40 of your supplemental, of your rebuttal testimony. At line 4 on page 40 of your rebuttal testimony, you reference D.C. Commission's Order 20274 as support for the current necessity of Pepco's Mount Vernon Square fiber optic expansion project, ITN 72528. Did you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to look in your packet. There is another exhibit. It's a copy of order number 20274, dated December 20th, 2019, from the D.C. Public Service Commission, 20274. Your Honor, I'd like to mark that as,
Wait a minute.
I only have a,
I only have a page.
I have the whole document in the record. I only need the first page. I'm not putting the whole thing in. I have the whole document.
Mine is blank.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all I need. Okay? Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
I'd have to mark that as AOBA Exhibit 8 SR, FR.
Is it 8 or 9?
I think
Case
it's
9. Okay. At line 4, on page 40 of your rebuttal testimony, you reference D.C. Commission's Order 20274 as support for the current necessity of Pepco's Mount Vernon Square fiber optic expansion project, ITN 72528. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, would you accept, subject to check, that DC PSC Order Number 20274 was issued on December 20th, 2019?
Yeah, one thing I'll just point out before I respond to that question is we're not seeking recovery for rate year 3 for this project, so I just want to make sure that's clear. That is the date.
With DC PSC Order Number 20274 issued in 2019, would you agree that subsequent declines in Pepco's forecasted DC loads could not have been considered in that order?
Can you repeat that question?
With DC PSC Order Number 20274 being issued on December 20th, 2019, would you agree that subsequent declines in Pepco's forecasted DC loads could not have been considered in that order?
I'm going to object. It assumes facts, not in evidence. There's no evidence here that Pepco's loads have declined in DC, and I don't think we can rely on Ms. Francis to tell us that.
Your Honor, she is the one who brought up the order. She talked about, in bringing up that order, I'm going to find the exact language. Mount Vernon Square substation is needed. Investment to address long-term capacity and reliability in a rapidly redeveloping area. It will transfer load from the northeast substation, which faces physical space limitations and operational risks. Then she goes on to say, although the northeast substation is predicted overload has shifted to 2026, delaying construction risk, system instability, and operational inefficiencies as demand continues to grow. The D.C. Commission, that's where she cites 20274, affirmed the necessity of the substation, citing its substantial reliability benefits, alliance with climate goals, and the inadequacy of alternatives, etc. So all I am suggesting is this date of 2020, 2019 was obviously pre-COVID. It was before anyone knew of the rapid declines that everybody has seen in the load, and that is why I'm citing the date of this order that she put in her testimony and referenced it.
And Your Honor, my objection goes to the fact that there's not one iota of evidence in here that loads have rapidly declined in this substation, in this area. In fact, I think Ms. Young's testimony said something different.
Then she shouldn't have cited commission order in another jurisdiction prior to the start of rate year 3. If she wants to delete the reference to D.C. Commission order, saying that it affirmed the necessity of the substation.
Chair, can I just? So I'm going to raise the point I raised earlier, which is I'm not sure why we're having conversations about projects where the utility is not seeking cost recovery, and I think this is a problem for Ms. Young also in presenting these projects, which then encourage AOBA and others to respond to. If you're not seeking cost recovery for this particular project, I don't really understand why we're having a conversation.
Because she's in her rebuttal testimony.
No, and I understand, and that I have a problem with that also. I think that there's that when you're asking for cost recovery, you really should limit your testimony to what you're asking recovery for, and not include other projects that you're going to be seeking recovery from, but in another docket at another time.
All right, so just so I understand, the Mount Vernon Square fiber optic expansion project is not being included for recovery in this proceeding, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. Well, I guess I'm going to sustain his objection.
Then,
based
Your
on-
Honor,
so-
at the appropriate point, I'm going to ask to remove her testimony that discusses it.
I understand, but her testimony references challenges that AOBA made to the expansion project.
Your Honor, we had to reference it in response to Mr. Austin. We didn't have a choice. We had to reference it because Mr. Austin referenced it. And remember, our rebuttal testimony only responded to Mr. Austin. We didn't have a choice. Staff raised it. We had to put testimony on it. So that's why we're in the predicament that we are.
Okay, so since it's
your person, so.
Yeah, this issue I'm not familiar on, so I can't opine. Apparently, it's an issue obviously Mr. Austin addressed, but
Can-
I don't have background on this.
May I respond?
Sure.
Mr. Austin, I believe in his direct testimony, has made a request for this commission on, I believe, 12 projects, and this is probably one of them, that we collect information so they have enough information. I think if you look at Mr. Austin's, just bear with me, let me get to his direct testimony, sir. And his recommendations. He's got recommendations that he wants information on certain projects, and I believe these are one of the projects on page 3. But that's why it's in here. And so AOBA filed rebuttal testimony on the topic,
Sure. I understand.
saying what they said, and we want to be transparent and provide information and not let that sit out there.
I
That's how
understand.
we got
So-
to where we are,
okay,
Your Honor.
So, why don't we wait till we get to Mr. Austin and figure out whether or not this is even relevant, and then we're gonna come back and deal with what
Okay.
is in her testimony and I guess assume Mr. Oliver's testimony,
Okay.
so.
Your Honor, I'm going to be addressing witness Young, page 40, the top of the page, her statement about although the Northeast substation predicted overload has shifted to 2026. And I ask that I be allowed to address that in my next question. What forecast of DC substation loads do you provide to support that assessment of purported loads for the Northeast substation?
I don't have the loads for that forecast, the load forecast for that substation listed in here.
So it's not in your testimony, correct?
The load forecast is not in here.
No, okay. Now, at page 41, lines 1 through 3, you assert that AOBA claims Pepco did not sufficiently explore non-wires alternatives or other potential solutions before pursuing the Mount Vernon Square project. Is that correct?
I'm going to object at this point. We've established that we're not here to
Yeah,
recover the costs
But, Your Honor,
for the Mount
I
Vernon
understand, but
substation.
so here's the thing. I don't want to go through a long discussion about an issue that may ultimately become irrelevant.
Your Honor, I only have 2 questions in this regard, but she disparaged Mr. Oliver's testimony by
understand.
saying he said something that's not in his testimony. And I think I should be allowed to ask her. She said that he spoke about non-wires alternatives. That's not mentioned anywhere in his testimony. She's suggesting things that he said that he never said. So, regardless of the issue, it's a mischaracterization of testimony.
All right, I'll allow that, so.
At page 41, lines 1 through 3, you assert that AOBA claims Pepco did not sufficiently explore non-wires alternatives or other potential solutions before pursuing the Mount Vernon Square project. Can you please point to the specific pages and lines in AOBA witness Oliver's testimony where he makes that claim?
I don't see it in his testimony.
Your Honor, that's all the questions that I have. However, I am going to move to strike page 41, lines 1 through 19, where Ms. Young Challet suggested Mr. Oliver said something that he never said anywhere in his testimony, as well as, for some reason, is relying on the Commission's order number 20274 to validate something. Not quite sure what. But I am moving to strike those lines, lines 1 through 19 of witness Young's testimony. Excuse me, sir, rebuttal testimony.
Your Honor, in light of the fact that Mr. Oliver didn't say that, I don't think we have any big issue with that.
Okay. So granted.
Could you give me those lines again?
I'm starting with the question 115, line 1 through
Mhm.
line 19 of page 41.
I would just say this, Your Honor, this testimony has already been admitted into evidence without objection.
Well, I'm moving to strike it because I hadn't crossed her then.
Well, I understand that, but, I think she had to lead a foundation about, what, and since your witness couldn't point to anything to it, we're gonna delete the sections that she once struck, so. Anything else?
That's all the questions I have. And I know I have to move my exhibits, but I need to look at my notes to figure out what shouldn't be admitted and what should.
While she's doing that, Mr. Chairman, I was just wondering, I know you had said earlier that we're going to break at 5 today.
Right. Yeah,
Can I do that in the morning?
yeah,
Okay.
let's do that. So.
And I would just like to ask, I don't know if there's just a standing order about this, but Miss
Right.
Young is live, so she,
Yeah, I understand, and so you cannot consult with your counsel on this because you're considered to be still on the stand, so.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
Okay, see you tomorrow.
We could just make her stay.